When you start your business, no one ever prepares you for what's in store. So, finding someone else who just gets it is sometimes the thing that can keep you pushing toward that big business goal.
We're turning our Zoom coffee chats into a weekly, unfiltered podcast for online business owners. They were so good, we always wanted to record them and repurpose them for content, anyways. And that's on being a social media manager.
I'm Jessica Sheehy.
And I'm Madeleine Digan, and this is
#managed. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of #managed. Hey, Madeleine. How's it going? How was your weekend?
Hi, it was good. Nothing too eventful this weekend. I did get the idea of you. Remember we talked last week about that book, or it's becoming a movie, and I actually think it's coming out this week or this weekend. Now that I think about it, so I've been trying to power through it so that I'm ready. And already though, I can tell that the movie is going to be slightly different because just by even the trailer, like in the book, her daughter's 12, and like and they say they met at Coachella, which like again didn't happen in the book. Which that's not a spoiler. It's just like you learn that like in the first 5 pages, and you're like, oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. Other than that, nothing crazy. What about you?
Yeah, same here. It's still pretty like cold here. Like I know we're not quite yet to spring. So I feel like I can't really like do all the things. I feel like I'm more active and more social like when the weather is warmer. So I know it's coming. But yeah, I actually have been reading because I'm like back on my reading kick, which is so good. I just read An Anonymous Girl, which was really great and finished that one. I can't remember if I said I finished it or yeah, I
You
think I
were
might have finished it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah, or I was close to finishing it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so I finished that one and now I'm reading The Teacher by Frida McFadden, which I think actually just released last month. So I'm very happy to say that I'm all caught up on all Frida McFadden books. So I didn't realize that she had a new release last month. So I started reading that one, and again, a Frida McFadden book is such an easy read. It's a great thriller. It's like a whodunit kind of thing, and there's always so many cool twists and turns. But it's an easy read, so I always like to lean to those when I feel like I'm in a reading slump. And I definitely made the mistake of last year, like reading through so many because now I don't really have a lot to read. But I know over the next couple of months, a lot of books are coming out, and I need to read what you're reading now. So I feel like I'm finally getting back into a good reading kick, which is great. And I don't know, I go through phases where I feel like I read a lot of books, or I'm like watching too much Netflix, or I'm like watching shows or watching movies, not reading. I can't ever find a perfect balance. And maybe that's just life. It's like always being a little bit off balanced here and there. But yeah, so right now I'm more balanced on reading. So that's good.
That's funny. I didn't know she had a new book either, but I had one of my followers actually DM me, and she's reading The Housemaid right now, and I was like, oh my God. And again, I feel like her books are. I'm like, that's a book I wish I could reread again, like for the first time. Like it's like you're just like you want to see their facial reactions to like certain parts in the book, and you're just like, did you have the same reaction as me?
Yes. Yeah. I love that. I love that. No, I think I would definitely go back and like reread that for sure. I think there's so many books that I would definitely reread. And so yeah, that such a good book. And I think there's like so there's The Housemaid's Secret, which I think you
I'm,
read
re-
that
I'm,
one.
re- I'm reading, so
Okay.
I'm reading two right now.
Okay.
That one
Love that.
and
We
yeah.
love that. And then so I think in a couple of weeks, I'll have to look on the release date, but there's another Housemaid something coming out. I don't know if you saw that. I saw that the
What?
other day. What is it called? Let me see. I think I pre-ordered it. Let me go look really quickly. But yeah, I saw that coming out and I got super excited, which is where it led me to know that, okay, there was actually a book that came out in February, but I can't find it at the moment.
This is I also would love for the housemaid to become a like, there's just some books that you're like, I really would, because you envision who like would play each character in,
Mhm,
but this is one like I'm like, come on, make
mhm.
this one
Yes.
something.
Yes. Yes. Oh, okay. June 11th, The Housemaid is Watching. It's book 3 of 3. Oh, I'm so excited.
Chills. My mom's gonna freak out when I tell her this. 'Cause she's
Yes.
seriously obsessed.
So guys, if you're listening, hashtag manage. We of course are a social media and business podcast, but we are a subset, also book club, subset, Frida
Yes.
McFadden, biggest fans club. So we are
Also, okay, you know what I need to do? I actually do. So I don't know if you really. She includes her email at the end of like every book. And my mom, like, she was like, I kind of want to email her, and I'm like, you
Oh,
should
I
do
love
it,
that.
mom. But now I'm just like, no, maybe I'm gonna do that. I'm adding that to my list. And like, yeah,
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
think we both would be fangirling so hard.
Yeah, no, I love that. I would love to like, oh my gosh, to get a response from the email,
But-
like that is
right.
my Roman Empire. Like that is what I need.
Okay. Okay. Manifest audience. Manifest with us.
Mhm, yeah, we manifest a lot of things here in terms of dream clients we wanna work with, podcast guests, but also we manifest Frida McFadden replying to our emails. That's
Yep.
what we're adding on, which I love that. Oh, that's so cool. I didn't even realize that, which I think now that you said that, I think I've seen that, like, at the end of, like, most of her books. And so, yeah, I love that. Awesome. Well, I know we're going to talk about a lot of things and kind of really shift gears from a couple of platforms that I feel like we give a lot of attention to. And we're going to talk about a platform that I feel like doesn't get the credit it deserves anymore. I feel like we all collectively woke up one year and just decided to not giving, like, we don't give Pinterest enough love anymore. So we're going to dive into a lot of things Pinterest on this episode. But before we do, Maddie, should we kick off with our water cooler?
Yes.
This week, our water cooler asks, Hi, I would love some advice. I run a TikTok with 19,000 followers. I've lost 9,000 followers in recent months and have super low engagement. I'm super confused because my content hasn't changed. In your experience, would it be better to start a new account? I really believe in my content and am worried TikTok has just decided they hate me.
Yeah, I'm gonna just start off by saying TikTok absolutely does not hate you, but there has to be a reason as to one. I would love to know, and again, if you guys are ever submitting a water cooler, like any and all info that you can share with us is so helpful. Like Maddie and I would love to know, what industry are you in? What content are you sharing? One, we would love to see the content anyway.
Mm-hmm.
But I would. Yes, yes. And again, we will support all of that content and of course follow. But when it comes to the 19,000 followers, I would love to know, how did you grow to 19,000? That's such a significant number. So I would be interested in knowing, how you got to that point to then be able to dissect, okay, how did these 9,000 followers fall off? Why? Did they have a reason? Did they come in from a video going viral or something along the lines and they aren't your specific audience who consume your content? I would love to know too. This is around followers. But I would love to know the engagement. I mean, I just from here the context is that it's super low, but to me I could think of a lot of different low numbers
Mm-hmm.
of engagement. So it's really hard for me to gauge how much did it drop. And so I think the last little piece here, and definitely want to hear what Madeline wants to add to this as well. But you mentioned that you really believe in your content. My question is, does your audience, does your people
Mm.
engaging, do they believe in your content? Is that what they need to see? Kind of really getting into the mindset of creating for our audience, because when we're creating content that we know our people, our audience, our community, our followers are going to engage with, they're going to do it and they're going to engage with their content, right? They're going to like and comment and send that video to their friend or save it for later, depending on what the actual content is itself. But just really getting into that mindset, is it helping them in this moment? And if it's not, if it's really just a passion TikTok, I don't know if there's like the right term for that, but you guys know what I mean. Like if it's something that you love to create, then maybe you just need to measure like different metrics, if that makes sense. But would definitely would love to hear, Madeline, what you would add to it.
Yeah, I also feel like if you haven't made any new type of like you haven't changed your content, I feel like with TikTok, sometimes you do have to keep it new and fresh. Like start a different series, start to test out different angles. And I think that honestly is something we all should be doing even on Instagram because I've been thinking about this a lot where so we started our business, Jessica and I each started our business in 2018. And like personally, my audience has seen me go from Adidas to nannying to like just to 9 to 5, like beep boop beep boop. We talk about this. I feel like I've talked about this the last couple episodes. You guys might be like, okay, yeah, Maddie, we get it. But where I'm going with this is just like you have to realize where it's like I feel like I've collected, and that sounds kind of creepy, but like I have like where it's like I've gained followers from my time at Adidas. I've gained people from when I went back to 9 to 5, when I was nannying, and like so on and so forth. And I and you and everyone listening has to realize, like we're evolving. We're constantly
Mhm.
evolving, and like your audience they're invested in you, and like they want to see they're your fans. So that's one thing I would say is maybe you do just need to kind of test out some fresh new content and see like and again, since we don't have the metrics, we can't like we don't know, but so what if it flops? Again, where I say that, but even like I Jessica and I both have been like we've been good with our TikToks this week, and I posted one that I was just like, okay, I'm gonna bring it out of the drafts. Literally, it has like 3 likes right now, and I'm just like, it's fine. It's fine. And
Mhm.
it's fine. But you guys know it's definitely hurting my ego a tiny bit where I'm like, oh, this is embarrassing. But it's
Mhm.
not. Like I just where it's like I know myself where I have to be more consistent. Like, I have
Mhm.
to be ready to come to TikTok and bring my A game.
Mhm.
Anyways, so that's
Yep.
one thing. The second thing too, I think want everybody listening to be aware of is there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at TikTok right now. I'm not trying to get political or anything, but seriously, like a lot is going on right now. Like at this time around they're like is TikTok really going to be banned and like blah blah blah, where I would just be mindful of those things because honestly that could be affecting some things.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. The other thing too that I realized that you just you read this, Madeline, and I totally forgot until you were talking, but she poses the question, is it better to start a new account or
Mm,
to stick with what you're doing? And I think, in just my perspective and kind of the context that we know about this case, I would stick to the same account that you're sharing and, really lean into Madeline's advice around getting really specific around, testing new content and just really, experimenting with new types of videos and going from there. Because starting a new account is always one of those things that I think, unfortunately, a lot of, and I'm going to say this really the best way I can, guys, so bear with me, as politely as I can, but unqualified social media gurus will
mm,
share this advice. And I think, when you think about it, like, say, for example, like a large company, like, like Olipop, for example, like they put out a lot of content. And again, with any brand that has a large following, they're going to get great engagement. They're going to have, waves in their followers depending on what they're doing. They're a big brand that's doing influencer and they're doing so many things as a company. So they're going to see a lot of growth too. If they start to see a lot of drops, they're not going to think we need a new account. we need to go from, at Olipop to, at Olipop sodas. I don't even know.
2.0.
Yeah, right. Like something new. Like, they're not going to create that as well, because that there's so much to be said about the real estate of the username that you have. And one, what happens when a consumer sees Olipop 1.0 and Olipop 2.0? They're going to be super confused. It's, and if it all comes down to we're not reaching or growing the way we wanted to, because we don't have this brand new account. So, the other thing too, every social media platform is run by an algorithm. And having just that historic data from your account and how people engage is really going to help you in the future once you do test new content types to put out there and see what really works. So kind of, think about that in that context, and do different things in testing. And then definitely, in the time that we're recording this mid-March, like Madeleine said, TikTok is going through some things, and we'll have to just see how it plays out. There's a lot of things up in the air. There's a lot of things that really need to happen for a, quote unquote TikTok ban to go into effect. But there's a lot of things doing that. So people are changing the way they're probably going on TikTok. They're probably changing the way they're consuming content on TikTok, just because maybe I don't know, maybe they're watching what's happening with like the voting and everything, or maybe they're going on Instagram. It's also spring. It's also the start of spring. People are on
Mhm.
spring break. And so that's also going to affect engagement as well. So kind of consider all of those things, and definitely hope that is helpful. And I feel like, I don't know if we've talked about this before, Madeleine, but we almost need like in Shark Tank where it's like, where are they now? Like, we need that. For
Yes.
like the
Yes.
water cooler, not to say, definitely not to float our egos of, okay, do what we say and then come back to us, but like give us an update. Like, are things still not working? Are you still seeing like a decline in this? Are you still not niching down? Or, of course, any of our other segments have been, because I think that would be really fun. But regardless, we'll have this thread for this episode inside of our hashtag managed collective Facebook community, so we can definitely chat through with there. And then, of course, whoever our anonymous submitter is, then we can kind of go from there. But I hope that's helpful in that. Madeleine, would you add anything else to that, or should we dive into our next segment?
No, I think we should dive in to our next segment. Show me
Awesome.
the number. Sorry, I had to think. I was like, what is our next segment?
I love that. Yeah, so we're going to dive into some numbers that, if you guys aren't, shameless plug, signed up for Madeleine's Monday Buzz newsletter, she shares all the things you need to know across all of the platforms. I know we give preference to Instagram and TikTok here, but Madeleine shows love to all of them on her newsletter. And of course, we're doing that here with this episode too.
Mhm.
But she shared the Pinterest 2024 wedding report, and we are going to have this linked in to the show notes. We'll, of course, put it in the Facebook group. And also, if you guys aren't on our email list, we are going to start emailing out every single Monday when our episodes go live all of the links that we share with what's on our feed, stories we're talking about, products we recommend, all the things. Our Frida McFadden novels we're recommending that week. No, I'm joking, but no, maybe we will if that's helpful for that. So you guys can join our free email list at hashtagmanage.com, join the social club, and stay up to date on all the things that we have happening and that we are going to be doing really soon. Hint, hint, some fun things are happening. But let's dive into this report, because there is a lot of really awesome data. And if you're thinking, okay, I'm not in the wedding industry, I'm not working with a client in this, you might actually be working with a client in a complementary industry that can go with this, but also with Pinterest. Listen to the trends and the
Mhm.
keywords that I'll walk through, because this will just explain all of the things that people are searching. And so, like all the platforms, people are searching across every platform, but people are searching on Pinterest. It is like powered by these keywords more than anything. And so it's really interesting to hear like what Pinterest has reporting. And so they mentioned that, with the upcoming like 2024 wedding season, there's been over 3 billion wedding related searches and over 10 billion ideas saved across the globe on Pinterest, just relating to this time frame with 2024 weddings. So that's crazy. In the US alone, it says that 9 out of 10 wedding planners go to Pinterest first when planning a wedding. And I think that's safe to say around, consumers as well. I know when I was planning my wedding, and same for Madeline too, like we were using Pinterest to like probably well before we were even engaged. We were planning the wedding, right? Like
Before I even knew Brennan.
right. Like it was happening, like from a specific board with like the wedding dress. And so if you guys don't know, I actually eloped with my husband and then we had a reception. So I had two dresses, not to brag, but
I'm
I know
I'm
I
so
know most
jealous.
people most people do anyway, right? Or they do the ceremony and the reception dress and then all the things. So when it comes to all things weddings, of course, we're planning everything from the dress for the dresses to the florals to all of the different things in terms of the design. So this marketing report is so interesting. So I just want to kind of read through a couple of keywords. I'm not going to go through all of them or the specifics of how much that's related to actual searches because I feel like this could fill up a whole episode in and of itself. But just listen to a lot of the different keywords that are popping up. Keep in mind this is spring. Keep in mind what's trending across other social channels and, Gen Z and millennials who are, that main audience who are getting married. So, wedding dress jumpsuits, short bridal gowns, simple wedding gowns, baby doll wedding dress, comfortable wedding heels, yes, fairy garden wedding dress, forest fairy wedding dress. I'm here for that. I just want to search that and just see what it pulls up because I'm
I
sure it'll be really fun.
I feel like that has become a thing because of the what is it? Thorns, a court of thorns and roses.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah.
I feel
Yeah.
like, and again, where it's like, see, even though if you're not involved in the wedding industry, where it's like you can reach to try and find a way to make it relatable to like again if you're reading that right now. But
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And then going, more into like the beauty like sector as well, there's natural hairstyles, natural makeup, so natural glam bridal makeup, clean bridal makeup, leaning into that clean girl aesthetic. So there's so many great keywords in this specific marketing report. It also goes into jewelry, dresses, decor, Gen Z, Gen Z is really into all things vintage, which I love. I mean, we're
Mm.
millennials, but I love all things vintage. So I love that that's what's trending right now in terms of all things bridal. So yeah, wanted to really share that for our Show Me the Numbers for our Pinterest themed episode. And now, keeping on that topic, let's do what's on our Pinterest feeds. We're kind of rebranding this segment for this episode because Pinterest has been a platform that we've talked about like here and there. I know throughout the show. And right now, just two things that are really like top of mind and consuming my Pinterest feed right now, which I'm loving, is I recently got my nails done. So if you guys are watching on YouTube, or maybe we'll clip this for social, I think it's called Oh So Peach, and I did like a pink chrome on top. But I wanted something that was like a pastel. Spring to me is always pastel. I probably would have done a little bit more chrome. The place I went to didn't have the specific chrome I was looking for, so we had to compromise there, but all good. And so I went to Pinterest to search, and typing in spring nail inspo 2024, I think was my actual like search keyword. So just giving a glimpse into that. And then Pinterest asked me if I wanted to search by nail inspo by skin tone, which I thought was so cool because one, I love it. I think they maybe could do a little bit more tones across the board. I think we've talked about this when we talked about all things 2024 marketing. I think they could be a little bit more inclusive because I think right now the way they kind of group very very different tones together, and it's not a big spectrum at all. Think about a makeup brand. When you look at their foundation, you're like, wait a minute, that's it, you have 8. Like, there is way more than 8 shades. So that's one thing that I think they could really do a little bit better. If Pinterest is listening, let's work on updating that algorithm a little bit more. But I thought how cool that that could be a way. And then of course, you can add in more keywords and go by short nails and long. And so right now I do gel and I do my regular nails, and so I'm kind of like a mid length. I don't even know if there's like an actual proper term for that, but they're not short and they're not long. So I like that's kind of what I go by. So anyway, I love that. Also, something else that I like recently started, and I can't remember what podcast I was listening to, but it was basically saying how millennials are really into, and this is what the podcast said. I can't remember who it was because it was like I listened to it a couple weeks ago, but they said that millennials are really getting into like elderly hobbies. And I don't know if I've ever related to something more in my life because I feel like in my life at this moment, I am really into elderly hobbies. I mean, I'm a social media manager, so I feel like that's kind of like, wait, what are you saying? But maybe it's because I'm a social media manager and I'm on my phone, I'm on my computer all day long. I just love to like get off of technology. Here I go, like saying it like that. Like, get off of technology. I would rather read, I would rather like look through magazines. I would rather like do something creative, and really go from there. Like, my husband and I like own a house in Florida, so we used to garden a lot, and so that was one thing that was so fun. Now I'm in an apartment, which I love it here. I'm not sounding ungrateful, but I do miss being able to garden. It was just fun to be able to, I don't know, it sounds so corny to say, but like go to Lowe's and get your flowers and do all the things. And anyway, so leaning into those elderly activities, I love to cook and bake. I'm probably not the best baker. Like, if I could say Pinterest gives me some inspo, I can never make it exactly like Pinterest shows me, but like I can get pretty close. So that but one thing that I recently started, and like really recently, and to be honest, I think I need to do a class or something on it because my skills just aren't there. But I started needle pointing.
I love that for you. I love that for you.
Yeah.
Also, I need to make one comment though about the gardening because I am so like maybe you'll like rub off on me because again, I'm in an apartment as well, but like Jessica, when I tell you last year, I was like, I told Brent, I was like, I'm going to be like, I got a few like flowers, like pots, whatever, to
Hmm.
put the flowers in. No, every single one of them died. And he was like, how much are you spending on these plants, Maddie or Madeline? Like, how? And
Hmm.
I'm like, and I remind you all that my husband, my mother in law, she had like her family has a landscaping business in Detroit. Okay? Like so like they clearly have green thumbs and I'm like, "Well,
Hmm.
can you like help me? Can you like help me?" And like he's like, "No." Like that's not something I want to do. And we've talked about this like when we get a house, I'm like that's why I'm all for like I want a cute little ranch or like I would like I like the idea of a townhouse because I'm like and
Hmm.
again like I say this like yeah, I'll want a yard for kids. Do I though? I feel like I'm such a city mom that I'm just going to be like,
Hmm.
"Oh, we can go to the park." Like I don't need need to like garden.
Yeah. Yeah. No, to be honest, I'm the same way. So our house was, and we rent it now, which is probably a topic for another day if
Yeah.
anyone's ever interested. I shared with Madeline, but I can definitely share with the class around that. But yeah, it's so okay. So one thing that I really loved about gardening is in like if you go to Lowe's or Home Depot or any store with a nursery, I love to buy plants on the clearance. That
Okay.
is my favorite place to buy plants. I don't know, when I was, like, really getting into this, I landed on, like, I don't know, Garden Talk, and so I watched so many videos on how to, like, really, like, like, take care of the plants and kind of, like, bring them back to life, and so, 1, I had to justify it because, yeah, Ryan would be like, we're spending way too much money on plants. But if I'm like, hey, I got this off clearance, and you could get like really good plants for like a couple of dollars. And so that's where like I would buy them. They would look so bad, but just cleaning them up. And sometimes that's all that they needed. And so at the time we lived in Tampa, so it was hot. So a lot of the times things were just getting scorched like in the Florida
Mhm.
sun all day. So they just needed some water, they needed better pots. And so that is like probably what started my like garden journey. And then the other part to that is my mom's side of the family, they have tons of green thumbs. Like growing up, my great grandmother had a beautiful garden. I mean, I if I could recreate this in a home, I would, but it would probably cost me like thousands and thousands of dollars to create it and keep up with it. It was so intense, but it was just such a great like memory. And so my grandfather also like that's his mom. He has the green thumb gene. Now my mom's who that's her dad, it skipped her, and she, for the life of her cannot keep anything alive except for like houseplants, like her little aloe and snake plants and bamboo trees inside. That's about it. The things that need minimal watering. And so like whenever my parents like plant new things like out in their yard and I'm over there, I'm usually always the one who's like looking at it and I'm like, okay guys, we can't plant this with all this sun, we need more water, like let's trim this here. Like if I go there and my mom's like mid planting something, I'm like, let me just take this from you and let me finish it, when really it's just my like I'm like I need to control this to keep this plant
Yeah.
alive. But yeah, that's really where it stemmed from. And so the second part of that, like I was saying, my when Ryan and I moved into our house in 2020, he came over and he planted us like made a couple of planters and made like a vegetable garden, which was probably my most favorite part of gardening. I miss that now about like being home, like or like being here in an apartment, not being able to have like cuz we would grow like tomatoes and like cherry tomatoes and like basil, like oregano, like so many different things, cucumbers, like having all that fresh produce and peppers. I don't know if it's just where we were in Florida, but we had a million and one peppers. So like I was always cooking those. But it was so fun to like grow your own food. I don't know. I know there's like such a what do you what is that called? There's like this portion of TikTok that like homesteading,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I don't know why, but you guys are really seeing all the sides of like my feeds here. I get shown a lot of content, and so that's a big part of it. Like I think it's so fun for that. So anyway, that long story short, I don't even know how did we get on garden. Oh,
Oh, yeah, needlepoint. I like, and again, like, I'm love this. I can't wait to, like, see what you make. Like, I'm pumped for you. I
yes.
love this.
I don't know how long it's going to take me to actually like have something finished because I know it's very like time consuming.
Yeah.
So I'm working on it and I'm going to try to maybe do I found a couple of spots near me that do classes, and I think I just need a class to learn a couple of the basics and get me started. But yeah, cuz I was telling Ryan, I was like, cuz I I ordered my stuff on like Friday of last week and I got it the next day. And he's like, why can't we just ever have a weekend where we're just not doing anything? He's like, you just have to pick up a hobby. And I'm like, I just need something to do, okay? I
Yeah.
just always have to be doing something. That's just in my nature, unfortunately. So yeah, so right now my Pinterest feed is full of spring nails, spring fashion, needle pointing crafts, which opened up the floodgates. I didn't realize how many things could be, or how many things you can needle point. And so that's what's on my Pinterest feed. Madeline, I would love to hear what's on yours.
Oh my gosh. So I feel like on my weekends are reserved for Pinterest. Like, I
Mm,
really love getting inspiration from Pinterest. Yeah. So, yes, I have a lot of spring nails on mine, and if you guys are watching again, like my niece, my 6-year-old niece picked out my nails because when I went home, I saw her and we went and got our nails done. And she knows, like, so she calls me TT, like auntie, but TT. And
mhm,
she was like, "I wanna go on Pinterest, TT," and I was like, "Okay." And so, like, we start to look, and again, where it's like for her, like, I'll start to type in like kid nails too, because so there's a market. Let me just say, if you're a nail tech listening to this, like, and I hope that doesn't sound weird, like, where it's like, oh, like, kid, like, you know what I'm saying? Where it's
Mhm.
like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's like kid stuff, like, it can be sensitive, but it's like their nails, like, it's literally their nails.
Mhm.
Um, but so we picked out one for her, and but of course, it wasn't on kid hands, so she picks out this one where it was, like, very, 'cause something that I feel like I have been searching a lot of is just, like, retro aesthetic, because again, where that's kind of what, the Buzzing Blonde rebrand was. So, if you guys are new here, like, my brand colors used to be yellow and navy, and everybody loved it, as did I, but it just, like, I just wanted
Mhm.
a refresh when I, like, was making this comeback, so
Mhm.
anyways, like, I love both, but I really do love this new rebrand. Anyways,
Mhm.
definitely going for, like, a retro, like, 70s vibe, hence the retro. How many times can I say retro in this in this
We need, like, on the screen, like, one of those counters that ding, like, every time.
harmony? But so I digress. So the nail she picked though was retro and like had like tie-dye, smiley faces, and all this stuff. And so we
Mhm.
go into the nail salon. Now I'm just going into Maddie tangent real quick. But we walk in and they were super nice. We've gone into this salon when I visited before, and she's like, I can do this, but she's like, "It's not gonna be exact," and I like, again, she didn't wanna crush Audrey's dreams, like, she's like,
Mhm.
"Can't," and so I had to, like, look at her and be like, "Okay, baby, like, we can o like, you're only gonna get maybe, like, 1 smiley face kinda thing." She's like, "Okay." When I tell you guys, her face lit up, like, lit up. She's also my little mini diva, like, I love it. So,
Mhm.
anyways, I obviously had to have a similar matching nail aesthetic. So, like, my pinky has a smiley face and just there's, like, a pepper on it, like, evil eyes. Anyways, so,
Mhm.
yes. So, in conclusion, lots of spring nails. I also obviously have a lot of, um I get a lot of Pinterest ads. Again, I feel like I probably get more than the average consumer, maybe because I also click on them, because I
Mhm.
really do, like, I have, just like with the TikTok shop, I would probably say, like, I am more inclined to go onto Pinterest to search something even before Google, if I'm being honest.
Yeah.
Like, if I for outfit inspo, and then, like, of course, like, let's say I'm typing in work from home, so that's another thing, work from home outfits, because like, yes, I like the casual chic, where it's just like I
Mhm.
want it to kind of feel like I'm wearing real clothes, but not at the same time. So, anyways, but like obviously I'll click those links, and I feel like I keep getting sent to Abercrombie and Fitch because they really do have great like
Mhm.
trousers and just comfy
Yeah.
work from home outfits. Another thing, so let's talk about hobbies, because I'm similar to you. Mine is very paint by numbers though. So I am
Ooh.
so
Yeah.
my grandpa was an artist, and I feel like I don't know if I've discovered if I enjoy, because like, I do like to draw, but I'm not drawing on weekends, but, like, there's something therapeutic about painting, and I've always joked with Brennan, I was like, "Will you," like, I will quote, The Notebook to be like, "I want a little studio overlooking," like, I forget how she says it now, but,
Mhm.
where it's just, like, a cute little deck outlooking the ocean, like, that'd be cool,
Mhm.
but, so paint by numbers, and then I feel like a lot of, recipes too,
Yeah.
like, I'm literally, like, scrolling through it right now as I'm speaking, and I feel like I'm getting, like, a lot of lunch ideas, which is funny because it's definitely making me hungry. And then I will say the last thing is definitely, like, cute little, like, merch stuff that I'm getting.
Mm.
Yeah,
I love
like
that.
water bottles and bags and hats.
I love how subtle we are. So subtle. I love that. No, but I think but Pinterest is like one of like you brought up a really great point. Like it's a great place to go to before Google because I think Pinterest can really help like ideate your search with okay, I'm looking for this specific like outfit thing. You know, like if I'm like packing for like a trip or planning for like a upcoming photo shoot, like I'm going to type in a lot of like keywords with like outfits I want to create. I love to create it like on a board and then have subsets in that board with like
Mhm.
specifics. And so I think it's a great place to do that. Also, one thing that you brought up ads, which I thought was great. I think I don't this is a hot take. I think Pinterest ads are so good.
Oh,
Like I
I
think they're so great. They're better than like Meta and like TikTok ads for sure. I mean different, but I
yes.
think they're so good.
Because they don't look like ads and they're not in
Yeah.
your face. I tell clients, any client, I remind you all, like, I don't do ads. I feel like Jessica and I both have said, like, like social media managers who run ads, like they're our heroes because we're just like, not I. Like,
Yeah.
no. Over however, I will tell clients that I will do Pinterest ads for them because like
Mhm.
I actually they're because to me, Pinterest their back end is very again where and I know I'm speaking to other social media managers and like I'd love for you guys to tap in respond or like comment on our Facebook threads in the Facebook
Mhm.
group, but I just feel like the um overview of the ads is just so much easier to navigate and understand and be able
Yep.
to explain to clients that if I'm being honest, that's honestly why I don't help clients with Facebook and Instagram ads because it's like
Mhm.
I've not mastered the art of explaining like
Yep.
how in depth like they are because like I was still getting clients being like, "Well, why do I have to pay you?" And also like this, but then I have to give you money to run the ad and I'm like, "Oh, if you
Mhm.
only knew how complex it was."
Yeah. Yeah.
But, I was just gonna say one other thing about the ads. I don't know, it'll come to me maybe. Who
Yeah.
knows?
But no, I agree. I think their ad platform is definitely great. I mean, I haven't ran an ad on Pinterest in a little bit, but the last time I did was for a client who had like a curated gift box company. And so we like kind of like I think to your point, like we use content that we were already sharing organically. I mean, I think like a curated gift box super cute. Like people are on there shopping for gift ideas and like they're on there anyway. So like sharing, they had gift boxes for the holidays, gift boxes for Mother's Day, for new baby,
Mm,
for a bride to be, like so many different opportunities for that. And so I think it really like opens the door. And I that's why I think that those ads on Pinterest are just way more creative. I think they do really well and. I really like want to click on them all the time. And so I think that's really, really important. The other thing that I think is so great about Pinterest, and let me be really real right here with you, Madeline, and also with everyone listening. If there were two platforms that I could really push for clients to be on, like I love Instagram, I love Facebook, I love TikTok, and I love LinkedIn, I do. Um, I would really prefer for clients to see the value in and invest in Pinterest and email marketing.
mhm,
But if
mm,
I'm being honest, those are two platforms that are really hard for me to get a client to say yes to or to like upsell a client into. Like honestly, it takes time of just building that relationship and that rapport with the client to get them into like Pinterest management and email marketing because it's one of those things that I think I can make this argument for other platforms, but with like email marketing, they're like, okay, like I can set up my email list, I can set it up, I can send an email, I can do that. But it's like, but do you know the power in email marketing? Like you know, passive income is one way that social savvy brings in revenue. And so, but the main way is passive, duh, it's passive, but email marketing. I get it, so excited. It's email marketing. And so having, emails set up when people join the email list and then sending them to like passive products that can teach them X or teach them Y, like in such a timely fashion, like that is what kind of creates really great passive income that comes into like my business alone. And it's one of those things that with Pinterest and with email marketing, I always notice this with not necessarily with clients, but with like leads who I have conversations with on discovery calls, like prospective clients. They're always like, I need people inquiring about my business. I need leads to email me and like, ask me about a service or ask me about a product or book a call with me or, whatever that like entry point into working with them is. And it's always so funny to me because I know Pinterest and email marketing are very slow platforms, but
Mhm.
they are so powerful when you do them correctly. Because if you're in an industry that does really well on Pinterest, and I think most industries do really well on Pinterest, then you can create great content. You can actively go on there and think about, okay, what is my person going to search? You can optimize your content to show up in that search, and then you don't have to worry about, did I post this at the right time? Did I put the right audio on this? Did I do all these things that I need to do? You kind of know that you've done all your things. And as people naturally search, they're going to find you. I mean, it's kind of like Google and SEO, like something that I think a lot of businesses well don't really know to invest in because they're like, oh no, like Google will show me. It's like, well, will they? No. Like you you have to like put in the work for that, but that can be a topic for another podcast for sure. But I think that's where Pinterest can really play such a powerful role, but I think because it's so slow, people don't invest in it. They don't do it.
It's such a long game. I don't know if I'm saying that right,
Yeah.
but yes, no, I'm with you on like with clients, but just recently, okay, I want to say this too. If you have an e-commerce client, you 1000%. I'm like trying to hype you up, but like try your hardest to push them because seriously, so I have the boutique. So everybody, in case you were unaware or new here, so I'm currently an in-house marketer for a boutique here in Charleston, and they also have e-commerce. When I tell you, like when I got into her website analytics and showed her like how much money she was making on Pinterest, where she hadn't been like they were not marketing and yet they were making money on Pinterest, where I was like, please
Mm,
let me
mhm,
show you with just the like again, here's what it looks like with no effort. I'm about to blow like take
mhm.
you to the next, to the moon, to the
To the
next
moon.
to the moon. Like seriously though, and I, like
Mhm.
and sometimes you just, especially for e-commerce where it's like I will say like asking your client, maybe you don't have access, but being like, hey, can I like look at your website, can I get in the back end and just like take a
Yeah.
peek at stuff? Because I will tell you this too, you're also going to start again e-commerce where you'll see if they have their catalog set up correctly as well, which again, why I don't do it, because
Mhm.
oftentimes the catalog is not set up right.
Yeah.
But you'll see like, oh, you've made this much from Instagram. And they just need to see those numbers because let's be like all clients are like they want to see the ROI. That is
Yep.
how, and again, sometimes they just again, what blew my mind was some of her marketers in the past like hadn't shown her, and I'm just like, who her like who
Mhm.
okay.
Yeah.
None of my
Yeah, no,
business.
that's
Not my
not
it is my circus now, but
yeah. Exactly, exactly. But no, that's a great point for like anyone who, even like if you feel like, that quote unquote, "Oh, I'm just a social media manager." Okay, yes, you are, but if you wanna know the value you can bring, go understand those numbers because to
Mhm.
Madeline's point, sometimes they're not even looking themselves. They don't know, and maybe they know how much revenue is, like, coming into the business, but they can't tell you specifically, like, where that revenue is coming from, so, okay, I'm excited for you to get in on their Pinterest and to do
Yes.
that, and, I had a client who they were e-commerce, and they were, like, a wellness brand,
Mm.
and they were kind of on Pinterest, but not really. And in our first month, at the end of the first month of working together, they sold as much on Pinterest that equaled our whole full like Instagram, Pinterest, and I think like blog writing was like the third thing. I thought it was email, but no, I think it's actual blog writing. Because again, like the way their business is so like integrated with their content and their products, like their blogs were a main source in addition to other things we were doing on Pinterest. So by linking properly in the blogs, making them really shoppable, having that be content on Pinterest, because that's what got the most
Mhm.
results from people searching, they made as much money. And I remember when she told me, it was like our second meeting of the month. We did one at like week 2, we did the second one on week 4. And so we're getting ready to go into month 2. And she's like, we've made as much on Pinterest. She like kudos to her for knowing her numbers, because she brought that up like one of the first things on the meeting. But it's one of those things that like it can happen. The other thing to add to that too, because I think with e-commerce it can go really quickly, and we kind of touched on it can be really slow. I've worked with a couple of clients in the past who were wedding planners, and obviously we read through the Pinterest marketing report, but even though like you don't necessarily see right away, like someone's not going to search wedding planner Tampa, Florida, pin something, click through, read your website, fill out your contact form, book you right away, because that's a much more expensive expense and added cost. But I've definitely worked with people in the wedding industry and interior design who have put
Oh yeah.
their
Mm.
work on Pinterest, and they've been hired, which just by pinning that inspiration, it all starts from like an idea. Is that Pinterest slogan? That should be that should be their slogan.
Well, and also beauty industry too. So I was telling Jessica this before we got started today too. So Kimber has gotten, again, maybe she's gotten more sense, but you also have to remember. So like, let's say a hairstylist, for instance, like your strategy, and here's like your strategy, I don't think should be to gain clients or leads through Pinterest. Yes, that is definitely a bonus. That is a win.
Yeah.
However, I think for like a beauty professional, and again, if you are a beauty professional listening to this, if you're one of my like OG followers, you've heard me say this so many times, and I will say it until I am blue in the face, because so many beauty professionals aren't using it, and I'm like, for
Mhm.
why? For why? You see beauty influencers, which
Mhm.
that's great, but you are a beauty influencer plus you have the license to back it up. And
Yeah.
so like blogging, like I want to circle back to that because oh my gosh, I think we talked about this in literally our first episode of the new year with our predictions, and just blogging in general, like we're
Mhm.
long form is, it was never dead, but more and more I think companies, and again I think more specifically small businesses and entrepreneurs in general are realizing like the benefits of having a blog on their website. So like salons, where I'm just like, why is it that the magazines are talking about the 6 spring hair colors like of the year 2024? You literally are in the industry. You tell
Mhm.
me. You tell
Yeah.
me. Because guess what? Their editor, whoever's writing that blog, not a hairstylist. They're just
Right.
like, they're honestly
Yep.
probably on Pinterest being like, what's
Mhm.
popular?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think, one thing that is so funny when it comes to I notice this about a lot of blogs that I read, because I love Pinterest, I love blogs, I, love
Mhm.
content marketing. I'm a nerd, but
Yes.
and I love to read. But when I read blogs, it's so funny because I think a lot of times people are like, I'm not a good writer. I can't write a blog. And to me, I say, well, if it's like one of my clients, I will do that for you.
Yeah.
But if it's someone I'm talking to, I'm like, you don't have to be a great writer to write blog content. Yes. Now, invest in Grammarly, get a great tool that can go through, read the grammar, make sure the writing is great and on par for that. Absolutely. But write from that point of view from your person reading it. So, when it comes to like, maybe if it's like spring nails, like write, if you're a beauty professional, like write out what's trending in nails, and kind of get specific with, okay, this is what you want. Here's exactly what you tell your nail tech. That is
Mhm.
all the value that you need to share, right? Or if it's like cuz I just chopped off all my hair, like short hairstyles for spring and summer 2024. Here's exactly what you need to tell your hairstylist. Like just getting specific with here it is, here's what to do, done. Like
And
there's not a lot that needs to happen in addition to that.
And you would be surprised at how many blog posts have not been written that should be. So, for instance, when I got my bangs, I constantly was typing in bangs for a round face, which Kimber then later
Mhm.
told me I have more of an oval face, which I was like, okay. I got excited because here I was
Mhm.
my entire life thinking I have a round face.
Right,
But,
right.
where she even told me to, she was like, it's not really about your face shape. It's about like and of course she got this lecture, and then if she's listening to this, like she know like, or I'm like, "Go make this a blog post because seriously, like, this
Mhm.
will get you so many hits on Pinterest, on
Yeah,
and another thing
yeah.
where it's like, that is a TikTok, that is a reel, that is a series, where it's like,
Mhm,
sometimes I personally feel like I'm speaking for client, like as a social media manager right now, to like as I'm talking to like a client, where it's just like and again, maybe some of you guys listening to this also relate to this, where they overcomplicate content,
mhm,
where it's like it's not that deep. You just kind of have to have that one idea and then break it and then show them where it's like, so this is the idea, this is how we're going to break it up into Pinterest pins, into a blog post, into an email series or whatever.
mhm.
And again, I'm a nerd too. I could talk about this stuff all day.
Mhm. Yeah. No, I love that. No, I think yeah, no, this is good. I hope you guys are listening and hopefully taking notes because I think this is one thing that I'm even running through too in my mind. I'm like thinking about like clients like and again, I'm always thinking about this. I'm like, okay, do like can we do this better? Like can we do more content? Can we do more blogs? Like because at the end of the day, content is so important and I know that video gets such a big push but video is not everything when it comes to marketing. I know that might be a hot take for some people, but I'm okay to share it. That's probably what's going to be clipped for social media. But I think because I think it all goes back to Madeline's point. Like it all goes down to those specifics of like what your audience is going to search for, and if it's not there from you, it might be there from a competitor. And
Mhm.
so sometimes it's those simple ideas. So I think one thing that is a really good like rule of thumb if you're a social media manager listening to this, you can tell your clients to do this or if you're a business owner to do this. Like have a spot on your phone. It could be your notes app. For me, it's like my personal like Slack channel to myself. Like I message things to myself. Like if I want to remember them, like I do that. Like I think most people do, but I use it for the sense of if I'm talking to someone like on a client call or discovery call or consulting or anything, and someone is telling me something super specific to like a problem or a pain point that they're having, no matter how small or big it is, I'm slacking it to myself because to me that's a mental note that this is a bigger problem than I thought, right? So then from there I can go about. So recently I was on a consulting call and it was with someone who is a travel creator and she was like, I don't have anyone with me to create content for me. And I think in my head like there's so many ways that I can spin this into a helpful series because you know I all of Team Social Savvy is remote, and if I asked my husband to film something for me, it would not be what I need. So like, so I do it like on my own. So I'm like, okay, there's so many things that I do as a solution to this. So I can create, Instagram posts for this. I can talk about it in a TikTok and I can do all these different things. So keep like a running list of those small things that someone says to you, someone asks you, maybe that you get a DM, maybe you get a comment, screenshot, copy, paste, and then all of a sudden you have more content ideas than you know what to do with. And to me, that's a great problem to have as a social media manager. And then from there, I think just kind of feeling inspired from this episode, take all those things, search them in Pinterest. Like, what comes up when you search those? I'm sure that opens the door, the floodgates for many more ideas.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. I'm so happy we did this episode on Pinterest because
Hmm.
I just feel like Pinterest i- is still kind of slept on. but
Mhm.
not, where it's like, obviously the numbers are there because, like, seriously, billions of people use Pinterest, but,
Yeah.
um, I just I and again, I think we will start to see more and more businesses start to use it, or at least I hope. And when I say business, I really do mean like local, but where it's like, oh,
Yeah.
that's another thing. Okay, actually I have two more thoughts.
Yeah.
One is, so Jessica and I co-wrote a blog for the Savvy Edit, and I swear we have twin telepathy because we both, so what the blog post is, and definitely check it out. Well, this will be one of those links that we have to link to. But
Mhm.
we did our morning skincare routines, and like, selfishly, I don't care. Like, to me, I'm just like, I don't really even care if anybody reads this blog. Like, it was so fun to co-create it with you and to like see
Mhm.
like how similar, like, I wrote the intro, and like I just like, it was such our vibe. And fast forward to, what was it? Tuesday? Was it yesterday or was it?
Yeah,
No,
yesterday. Yeah.
okay, yeah.
Yeah.
We both we did not discuss. We didn't discuss that we both knew we were going to film our get ready with me, our morning skincare routine, but didn't discuss when we were gonna post it. We both posted it yesterday, and it was just hilarious, and I
Mhm.
loved it too because something like that is you s there were 2 different types of videos that we did. I could s and again, where it's like, I still have those clips where it's like, I can make it similar to Jessica's, where it's like, I go into more detail or whatnot, but mine was shorter,
Mhm.
where, so that's just fun. So that's one thing, and then, oh, shoot. Dang it.
Were you gonna say something about local on Pinterest?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Okay, thank you. Guides, local guides, like,
Mhm.
like, seriously, where it's like, um, places to eat in Charleston, just like TikTok has it, so does Pinterest, like, and it
Mhm.
goes back to, like, when you're traveling, maybe we did talk about this a little bit, but, where it's just, like, creating boards whenever I travel.
Mhm.
Seriously, Pinterest is my Google, like, and I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure Pinterest is actually the 3rd largest search engine, like, I think it goes YouTube, Google, Pinterest again,
Yeah. I
don't,
think you're right. Yeah. Yeah.
but it's definitely the girlies, like,
Mhm.
Google, I
It
think.
is, yeah. It is. Actually, one thing, and I don't know specifically, but I think Pinterest actually does have a pretty big male audience. Like,
Yes, yes, it does, because
I
my dad,
yeah.
oh, God, I love him so much, but he's, like, the chef of our family, but he will be like, "I found this new recipe on Pinterest." I'm like, "Send it to me, dad," like, and
Mhm.
can we also bring back, maybe this should be a weekend series you and I do, is Pinterest fails, but, like, it's like, I always
Mm.
laughed when moms would be like, Here's the, like, craft idea to, like, what it was." Like, the
Mhm.
DIY, I feel like that was very, again, talking about the evolution of Pinterest, like, oh my gosh, has it changed just as much as Instagram? But, again,
Mhm.
I feel like Pinterest managers don't really even talk about it, and I would like to say I follow quite a few Pinterest managers, but,
Yeah.
like, there's sometimes where I'm like, "Why are you guys talking about this?" But anyways.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Yeah, no, I think that is definitely like a great point. I think local can definitely happen on Pinterest. Like I think it gets a rap for that it can't, but it definitely can. I mean, my question to that is how come TikTok can and Pinterest can't? Like
Right.
it's like no, it can. It absolutely can. People are searching for that. And they're planning. People are planning something, right? They're planning a meal, they're planning a wedding. I mean, two different scales of things, but they're planning to do something, planning to make a purchase,
But yep.
planning to hire someone, planning to do XYZ. So that's just something to think for that. My last question I have before we end for this week, because I want to see your take on it, Madeline. Do you think for Pinterest, for like the amount of content to post, do you think quantity or quality content strategy?
Ooh, that's a good question. Can I say both?
Okay.
Because
Mine, guys, we didn't plan this. I just thought of this question. I'm going like in the middle. Like if I think of a scale, I'm leaning towards both.
Because I know for a fact the quantity will, like, because again, I've seen it, like, I do, like, where, and I think I'm thinking of, let's say you have one blog post where it's like that one blog post, if you have, let's say, 10 images in it. So, like, okay, I'm just gonna take our skincare one, for
Yeah.
example, where let's say we had like 10 pretty pictures of like our, like the products that we use, whatever, where it's like,
Mhm.
there you go, that's 10 pins. But then, like, obviously, oh, this is hard.
Mhm.
I know, because something else I think that's died a little bit is, I feel like in 2016, where you would, like, so every blog post would have like the actual blog title on it, and you would test out the different, like, fonts, colors, all that stuff.
Mhm.
I still think that is popular. But
Mhm.
I would put money on it that the images, like a pretty aesthetic image, is going to do better than something with
Yeah.
coffee on it.
Yeah.
I don't
I
know if that
agree.
really answers that, because, like, because
Yeah,
I
yeah.
still do pictures too, and, like, that's the other thing where it's like I still see people, um and I've done it too, where actually, so one of my biggest, or most saved pins was a upload from, like, like, because I would upload Instagram Reels and TikToks, and,
Mhm.
like, some of them had, like, the watermark, but, like, to me, I wouldn't recommend doing that. Like, I would still recommend getting rid of the,
Yeah. The what? Yeah.
watercolor, yeah, or watercolor, water, yes. But anyways, yeah.
Mhm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think there is some because when I look at like our like social savvy like Pinterest stats, it's a wide range of what does really well. Like there are certain topics like for us, and again, if you're a social media manager, definitely take this because it works really well for us. Anything content calendar related, which I could go on a tangent for that, does so well because those blogs are super simple. Because I'm pretty sure, guys, I wrote those in 2018, so they're really old content, which shows how Pinterest definitely does not, things can cycle, right? Think about it as kind of like as seasons and people are planning and all of that. And so we test a lot of things with like putting the content calendar like on the pin, like doing different colors, different things like that. Also using like our brand photos. We did one last maybe actually it was Q3 of last year. It's been a little bit, so like using like photos that we have from that really work. But yeah, definitely testing it because I go between both ways. I think definitely go the quality route of like what the actual like content is itself. But I think depending on the content, if there are things that you could pull from, right? Like I could almost see like Madeline and I doing like kind of like infographic style of like
Yes.
our like okay like to I don't know. Yeah, I'm sure we both have different skin types, right? So it's like what wash or cleanser we use for each skin type, or something
Mhm.
like that, or like everything that's like in my like skincare bag, and then like Madeline's as well. So like that, I think is an opportunity for more quantity in terms of like pins to create. So yeah, I just wanted to throw that out there because I know sometimes we talk about that like how many times to post and whatnot on other platforms. So I thought that was a good kind of end cap for for
Yes.
this week's episode.
Yes.
Um, awesome. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We wanted to really chat through all things Pinterest and just dedicate it to this platform. And it won't be the only time we do it. I think there are so many times that we'll talk about different things with Pinterest. And we would love to hear for that. If you guys have any questions around Pinterest, if you are a Pinterest manager, if you want to become one, like definitely jump in our thread for this week's episode inside the Facebook community, hashtag Manage Collective. Also, don't forget to join our email list, 100% free. You can join at hashtagmanage.com, click on the join social club button, and you can sign up for that. We'll send out all the links, all the things we talk about, we'll send that there. And then, of course, you'll be the first to know about anything that we are working on because we are working on things if I could be any more subtle than that. But awesome. Well, thank you, Madeline, for your time this week and sharing, of course, all of your expertise on Pinterest. It was great.
Yes, thank you. We will see you guys next week.
Thanks so much for listening to this episode. If you haven't already, hit that follow button, and if you really love us, be sure to subscribe wherever you are listening from.
And if you want to be one of our online besties, you can shoot us a DM over at #managed on Instagram and let us know what your biggest takeaway was from this episode. Or, you could also share all your deepest, darkest secrets. Kidding, but we mean it when we say you can shoot us a DM. We love building real, authentic relationships with you.